Baltimore celebrating their 9th anniversary. We've got a great panel of folks. We hope to have a great conversation with everybody. With me right now is Jessica. She's going to tell us a little bit about Brass Tap and what you guys got going on.
Absolutely. So this weekend we've been doing our 9th anniversary. Today we just actually tapped the Monument City Brown Ale cask. And we have a few awesome beers. We have the Velvet Merkin 2018.
That's what I'm drinking.
I think you have the 1050.
I got the Velvet Merkin.
We also have a 1050.
I haven't had the 1050 yet.
And we have Justin Burke's the Hot Cocoa Porter.
The Faith in the Flakes. Which is ironic since they're calling for a blizzard to start in the next couple hours.
Last time you topped it when it was at Max's was when the last snowstorm was too.
Yeah, I am unlucky. I've had 2 events this year, and both events are like centered around a blizzard. But let's go around the table right now because with us we've got some much more important people in the community than me, for sure. So I'm a nobody. I'm Sean, by the way. But sitting next to me is our BAM representative, Billy. Say hi.
Hey, I'm Billy Deavers, owner of Liquidity Aleworks, and from BAM, Brewers Association of Maryland.
I've got a local legend sitting to my right.
No, that can't be me. Steve
The hell
Jones,
it is.
Formerly of Oliver Brewing Company, and then the Brewers Art. Currently just part-time at Monument City.
Yep. And then the other Steve.
My name's Steve Marsh. I've been in the industry probably about almost as long as this guy here, 25 or so years, and really interested in seeing where the industry is going from here on out.
That's what I'm hoping to have a conversation today about, unfortunately, like where we're at, where we're going, and then how we can help promote this craft beer industry here in Maryland, not just in Maryland, but I think nationwide. I mean, everywhere is struggling. So looking forward to a great conversation. And unfortunately, we're 2 months into 2026 and we're down 2 amazing spots, including Brewers Art, which was not on my radar for 2026, I must say. I mean, yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere, right?
Well, not out of nowhere, unfortunately.
Well, not for you.
It's been a struggle, as it has for many breweries, brew pubs, restaurants for a long time now. So, it on the face of it, it was very certain, but it's been in the works for a long time, and I'm sure there's more to come, unfortunately.
Yeah, when I'm thinking about which places I thought might be the next to close, which I'm not going to reveal, Brewers Art wasn't one of them. I hate to say it wasn't one of them.
Yeah, I understand that, but
I mean, I know we have with Mike and Idiom over by you and Frederick. Like, we knew at the end of 2025 they were like he was trying to sell it, but then I figured someone's going to jump in and buy. I really did not see them just closing down, but I guess that's more foot traffic for you guys in Mount Airy.
I don't think it's hurting anybody's foot traffic. I was down in Frederick on Friday afternoon, and I couldn't find a place to park. But that also shows me that there's maybe some regrowth of our industry and might be coming back. I don't know, but I really hope so.
Yeah. Jessica, what about you guys here at Brass Tap? Like, how are you seeing people come in? Are you seeing more sales of like non-alcoholic beers?
So surprisingly, we used to have more sales in like liquor, and now we've seen a transition to where people are actually drinking a lot more beers.
Really?
Yes. So
interesting.
That's super exciting. There are times, so we actually have 60 beers on draft. There are times where obviously we couldn't keep that many back a few years ago because nobody was drinking them. We didn't want to just have them sitting. But now if you look at it, we have every single tap on. We're doing Maryland Day on March 25th, but we start March 23rd. We're actually going to have 60 all Maryland beers. So nothing but Maryland beers on draft. For
That's a lot of fun.
I know.
That's the past couple of years. It's always a lot of fun.
I know, but that's great. But that's such an amazing thing for our community because so many people have not tried beers from several places around the state, but they get to come in here and have the opportunity to try beers from a lot of places they haven't been to. So that is really cool. I love that. Maryland Day.
I think that's a big focus on regrowing the craft beer scene, is focusing on local because it's so important. Said it so many times. So many great breweries, you've got to support them now because, as we just saw with Idiom Brewers Art, they might not be here next week. So
Yeah, and it
that's
breaks my
awesome.
heart.
We appreciate it.
That happens all the time. I'm like, I want to go to Brewers Art, and it just passes, and you're like, oh, if I would have gone, would it have helped?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, what can we do to help drive that foot traffic, though? I mean, I think it starts with the youth. I think we're looking at a long game here. Me personally, I think we need to continue to make breweries more family friendly so that the future generations are comfortable in the brewery environment. I like my son, he loves breweries. He loves going to breweries with me, hanging out. I let him pick a beer from the beer list. He gets a kick out of looking at all the beer names, and he picks me out one. I'm like, dude, whatever you want, you pick me out a beer, and he does. And he loves like sitting around playing board games. I know there's a lot of part of the community that hates having like kids. Trust me, I supervise my kids. I don't let them run around like nuts, but he loves it. And so he will be someone in the future that's going to support breweries because he just loves the vibe of them. So I think part of it is getting the youth involved now. But what do you guys think?
But exactly how you said that, he's well behaved. He's learning about the beers. It's not just, hey, let me bring my kids and have them run around and I'm going to get drunk. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really great concept of having them know things early. And
We're usually sitting there playing board games. He loves when there's board games and stuff. So.
I completely agree with all of that, and that's something that we've been doing with our kids for. I mean, my son is 14, and the idea is that when you see adults enjoying an alcoholic beverage responsibly, they're going to grow up to not abuse alcohol like the way that I did when I. Honestly, before I was 21, I thought that's what you did with alcohol. I thought it was a tool. It is not. It's something to be enjoyed. And
if you don't mind,
What
I'm
if I'm
going to jump
enjoying
out.
it and
I'm
abusing
going to
it?
have Barry, who's the owner and general manager of Brass Tap here.
Oh, Barry, hey, what's up, man? Cheers.
Guys, I would have been over here earlier, but one of the hazards of being a bar owner is I'm very chatty.
I
Well,
get
There's
it.
some folks back there I haven't
Perfect
met.
place now then, because you have a microphone. So.
But anyway, thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure. I look forward to just having a great conversation here with everybody. So, cheers.
One of the things, Sean, I think I noticed, especially here, and I've been here for events over the years, like the Maryland Day that you were talking about earlier, is that the breweries and the businesses around have to define themselves every month. They have to have a full month's worth of events where you have your regulars come in and they spread the word to get more people to come. If you're not on top of the game and you go, oh, well, we're not going to do anything this weekend, you might lose out on
Yeah,
lose momentum.
it can catch up with you real quick. You start to think that you're kind of okay, and then you realize, there's just so much competition. There's so many things that people can do. You got to give them a reason to come to you.
Absolutely. With the economy being what it is, the saturation of the market, people have got a lot of choices for the few dollars they might want to spend. So everybody has to, pull together.
For me, it always comes down to, you get the person in the door and then it's execution. If you can take care of them and make them feel like they feel, the message I give to my team is make them feel a little bit better when they leave than they did when they came in.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, then they'll come back. But the hardest thing is getting them in the door in the first place. So it is a series of events, and this cask ale tapping and everything we're doing today is a really good example of that.
I'm the only one that doesn't have the cask.
Did you already drink yours? Is that what happened?
No, you know what?
Did somebody
Because
else
Billy
steal
was
it?
empty-handed, so I gave mine to Billy because I was still drinking the
Well, we'll get
2018
one
over
for you,
here.
100%.
No, it's all good. I gave it to Bill, but I'm trying every one of these amazing beers that you guys put on today. Believe me. So I'm wondering though, with what you said with the dollars, right? Do you think, and in my opinion, with the legalization of marijuana, do you think some of the beer dollars that people were spending went to that?
I think that's a realistic outlook. I think it did. There's all sorts of factors involved, not just that, but craft cocktails, all these sort of things taken away from the beer segment. Just people's drinking habits have changed. So I think we need to remind people of what an amazing and varied product beer is. There are so many styles that, if you're willing to investigate you will find something that you could thoroughly enjoy. You know,
I think the real benefit with what craft beer, not just craft beer, but craft beer in general, it's a social thing, and I think that we're going to see people kind of move away from cannabis as a everyday instead of craft beer. You'll still have people do it, of course. I mean, I know plenty of people who do that, but I do think that we're going to see a little bounce back from that over the next couple of years. I don't think it's an overnight thing, though. It's something we're going to have to continue to work at.
Well, and I think you get a combination of factors. You know, the cannabis certainly has something to do with it. You don't have to go out to get a buzz. It's legal now, but also younger people just aren't drinking as much, independent of cannabis. And I think the cannabis side is just going to make that a little bit easier for the younger people to continue doing that. As they're, you know, as we get out of our 20s and our life starts to get harder, sometimes, you know, the drinking and it's harder to socialize. But if they can, you know, do the cannabis, it'll be harder. I think the challenge is going to be to get them to realize the value of that socialization, about being around other people, because it's easy to sit at home and smoke a little weed and, you know, play video games.
yeah.
Especially for people a lot younger than me.
I mean, it doesn't sound like a horrible afternoon to me.
Yeah.
So that comes down to what you started out saying, Sean, is how do we get our kids involved? Like I had my kids helping me brew. I still homebrew every once in a while, and I have them involved in as much as I can just to keep them in there. Although, I mean, there was years I had them going out and picking hundreds of pounds of strawberries for me, and they will not do that anymore. Like, did I scare them away by, you know, like doing stuff like that, or is it going to be something? The other thing I noticed recently too, and over the past few years, especially in legislation in Annapolis, alcohol has really become bad for you. You know, it used to say you have a couple beers, you're okay, and everybody knows if you drink a dozen beers a night, your liver's gonna have some problems in the future. But the way it is now, it's like alcohol's become really bad for you. Like, and people are okay. Well, this beer has maybe 500 calories in it right here that we're drinking. Maybe 400 calories. A pint, say 300 calories on a good 7% beer, right? 300 plus calories. And people are thinking, like, I can just go smoke a little weed, and I don't even have to worry about the alcohol, any effects of it. As this goes along, weed's going to be really bad for you, and everybody's going to stop smoking weed and start drinking again.
There'll be a lot more longitudinal studies and things like that just you couldn't do when it was illegal. Not to mention, you know, as I can't remember what the drug classifications are, but marijuana classified as a pretty serious drug, so that even there was very limited what the CDC or FDA could study on those things, and that's all going to change, especially once it becomes, and I say once because I think it's inevitable that it becomes legal nationwide. But I still like my beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of legislation, I would actually like to get your input. How are we feeling about the legislation to get beer and alcohol sold in grocery stores? Because I know I've got my thoughts. Oh, everyone's silent now all of a sudden.
That is a tough one, because obviously there's a lot of liquor stores who will fight against that. I mean,
I put you guys on the spot. You didn't know it was going to hit you with that
I
one.
am not opposed to it.
Well, for a brewery and have like Costco come to you and
Yeah,
says, I'm going to sell you 10,000 cases next month. Can you fill that for me? And you're going to be like, I don't know. What's the margin? Like, what am I going to make? And how many people is that going to reach? You know, like in the grocery store, it's going to reach a lot more people than maybe just local liquor store here even, you know, like even though people know to come here for 100 beers, if they can go get even a small portion of that in their grocery store, it's skipping a whole group of people, really. You might not even go to the liquor store anymore.
Yeah, I think I could see the liquor stores really getting hurt by it. I don't think it will hurt us significantly in the on-premise business. There are plenty of places if people want to go get a good craft beer. There are plenty of places you can go around and get a craft beer. Maybe you won't have the selection of 60, but you can go to a little podunk liquor store and they're going to have, loose cannon is a simple example. They'll have a handful that you can grab. I guess I just think of it more, Sean, from a consumer standpoint. Why would you not want to make it available? We've got so many relics of Depression and World War II and post-war laws that are out there protecting businesses. And it sucks if you invested a bunch of money in a liquor store. I mean, you don't want to minimize that, but at the end of the day, the purpose of legislation should be, hey, you want to make sure people are safe. Well, there's no reason to think that the grocery stores can't card just as well as a liquor store. What is it that's the purpose? Right now, the purpose of not doing it is only to protect the liquor stores.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair competition, and at the end of the day, that grocery stores should be able to.
I mean, just to speak to the other point, not necessarily saying that I agree one way or the other, put it that way. So, like, if you do give grocery stores the blanket ability to sell alcoholic beverages, it is going to put a pinch on small producers. Because they're only going to be able to carry so many SKUs in that section. On top of that, then you're going to have your small liquor stores that are going to absolutely go out of business, especially the ones that are very much connected to the craft beer community. That's not saying that 100% of that's going to happen at any point, but there are some economic considerations to go on there. I also see the other side. There are grocery store deserts in this city right here, and giving grocery stores the ability to sell alcohol could help a lot of people in that way as well. I'm very torn on this particular subject personally, and I can tell you it's a subject that we talk about at the Brewers Association all the time.
Yeah, it's tough because it depends on the day you ask me whether I'm for it or against it, because you're right. I would love the convenience of being able to go to, Safeway and like, oh my gosh, look at that. I know I'm low on whatever, like Heavy Seas, loose cannon, and there it is. And I can just pick it up. But then, there's a liquor store 2 doors down that would love to have my business, So I totally understand that regard. But then part of me thinks, hey, there's like a consumer base that's going to come in. They're like, oh, who's Liquidity Aleworks? I've never heard of them. Let me try their beer. And then they're like, damn, this is some good beer, Like, I'm going to go check them out. I'm going to go, they've got a tap house. I'm going to go check them out. So there is part of me that would think maybe you're going to reach to a new consumer as well. But
and I have a hard time believing that the SKU limitation is going to be tighter in a grocery store than it is in a corner liquor store. Now, are there liquor stores that really do cater more to craft beer? And will they be hurt by some of that? Yeah, I'm thinking of like Wine Source or a Lighthouse on the other side of town. But most of the liquor stores, they don't have a huge SKU, a huge set of SKUs any more than I think a grocery store is likely to have. And in fact, a grocery store has a hell of a lot more space. If they want to put more shelf space out there, they can keep cases back in the fridge and put 6-packs out there. And your liquor stores, your corner liquor store, only has a few hundred square feet, maybe 1,000, 1,500 square feet tops.
I mean, if the infrastructure is put in at their grocery store to do that, that'd be awesome. But I mean, just looking at ones that do have it, like let's say you go down to Ocean City, you can find a couple down there. I know there's one in Montgomery County, a Safeway down there, and they don't have a ton of SKUs. They have a lot of the big names, and I'm not gonna. I don't want it to sound like I'm bashing those big names because some of them are very close friends, and but those guys have a lot more selling power than say somebody who's doing it on a 5-barrel system. Like I'm never going to get into a grocery store.
How much are you getting yourself into the liquor stores, though?
A fair amount.
Okay, well, that surprises me, but then again, I'm frequently wrong. So
one thing I noticed with like sort of Total Wine and how you have to enter each one of your SKUs, and you have to show them a label, and you have to really give them everything to sell you. So for say Liquidity, or we have Checker Spot, who are all self-distributing and trying to get their beer or their product into. It's really hard. And I can imagine if you're trying to go into Costco or something like that, there's just so many little rules and intricacies. You got to have a lot of money forward.
They also
going
have
in
minimum
to be able
case numbers and stuff like that
and then
are difficult for like a small producer to say, oh, I'm giving you 100 cases.
is it worth to take all that to get to be in that liquor store or in that big grocery store? All the money it takes and all the sort of advertisement to get it in there, are you going to get it back on the back end by people coming to your brewery?
100%.
Yeah.
Someone whose beer's been selling out everywhere lately. You can't find it anymore. I've
Well, there
tried.
wasn't a lot of it in the market to start with, so unfortunately, which is another problem with the industry is distribution.
Oh,
small
distribution.
breweries.
That's a whole nother
Well, you
beast
would
we could talk about.
Yeah, you would talk about legacy laws that are designed to protect folks who put a lot of money into, well, these days, pour a lot of money into Annapolis to make sure that they don't lose their business. Certainly, the distributors are big, I want to say guilty parties, but big parties in that.
I mean, it's hard to blame somebody for wanting to make money, but at the same time, you're 100% right. Like, they've enjoyed some protections that make it much difficult on a smaller producer to do it. I'm sure you guys
And
know
also,
exactly
and also
what
getting
that's like.
paid. Like,
Yeah.
when you sell something to Costco, they're 90 days before you get paid for it. So, there's just this sort of total line. And then you can get it earlier, you can get your check earlier, but then you got to give them a percentage for cashing your check earlier to pay you for your product that they've already probably sold.
And once you start including production time in that means a 4-month turnaround before you're getting your money back on that investment.
And it's taken, and it's not like you bought the ingredients yesterday, and it's
Also
4
that.
months from now, right? You got to get all the ingredients in before you can start the production.
So, all right. In 2026, how much more expensive is it to brew a beer than it was in 2023?
There are so many different factors, some of which I couldn't tell you. I mean, the cost of cans, obviously.
The tariffs on
I don't
aluminum,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, or electricity. Yeah, power, everything.
Oh, that's crazy this
spiraled
year.
upwards. I mean,
Hours
raw
are an issue at every
materials
level.
could, some of them are like 30% more expensive than pre-pandemic, at least. So it's a very expensive business, and the margins are very low, especially in distribution. Obviously, in terms of breweries, taproom model, a good taproom model drives, your business, because distribution, the margins are so low, the costs are. People also don't want to spend more money on beer.
Right.
Beer is this strange thing where people think it should be cheap, but it's actually a premium product.
Yeah.
The way the craft breweries work is to produce a premium product, but people don't expect to pay a premium price. I think. Across the board, there are exceptions. So as raw materials, power, all these factors that go into making your beer increase, it's very hard to sustain your margins because people don't want to pay more for it. People have perceptions of how much they should pay for a 6-pack of beer, for example, in a liquor store, and they're unwilling to go above it. So if you raise it because you have to, you lose business.
Yeah, that $20 price point for a 4-pack of beer, that hits hard for a lot of people these days, for sure.
Well, look at the ale takes 18 days to make and get out to the customer, and then you look at the lager, which everybody expects to be really cheap. That's taking 30 plus days and all the extra time and whatever.
That's
The
valuable real estate,
equipment that goes with it, yep. Because that equipment, your lagering equipment is just dedicated.
And people still want that $5 beer,
I fully expect when I go into a place that I'm dropping $9 or $10 with a tip to the server or the beer tender, like that's what I'm expecting to drop. But to an average beer, for one beer. But then you get someone who's not into beer, and then they see that and they're like, "What the hell? Like, no, give me like a Mick Ultra that I'm going to drop."
I want a bucket of beer.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's a real hard sell, you know. And I mean, I understand with times being tough, but it's an uphill battle for sure.
Sean, can I get you another beer?
Well,
That's looking pretty empty.
I mean, certainly, I'm the only one who
Should be
hasn't
the
tried
cask.
the cask
You
yet.
should definitely
So,
have a cask.
all right, give me a
You want
cask.
I'll do the Merlin actually. I have
Okay, you got it.
Thank you. So, I mean, how have you seen like the tap house with, you know, getting just over the last year or so, with people coming in less and less? I mean, are you seeing your crowds, you know,
We're pretty
diminish?
close. We were year over year. 2025 was similar customer numbers, but our average tab was down.
Gotcha. So people are getting like maybe a beer less.
Yeah, and some of that came specifically in the fourth quarter where we're normally killing it in our area. I can't say that that's the same for everybody, but it is our busiest time of year, and it was way down this year. And I'm assuming that I know that the beginning of it was with the government shutdown really was rough on us.
Yep.
And some of that is your area of the country and stuff like that.
And then a month of ice too.
And a month
Yeah.
of ice, yes. And those things made it very difficult at the end of the year for us to really get that bump that like gives us like that, oh, okay, we're okay. Instead, we were just very tight. I can tell you like the start of this year is much better than I was expecting, but not enough to make up for like 3 months of not great.
Yeah. And I don't know how January was because I hate the term dry January. Whoever freaking came up with that term, whatever social influencer, came up with dry January, I want to strangle them. Like, oh, I'm sure you guys do too.
Well, I mean, a lot of it I think has to do with Lent too. I know my wife's given up alcohol for the next 40 days, starting last week.
You let her do that.
I tried not to. Like,
What the heck?
I tried to plan a trip in the middle. Maybe she no.
I can't
Yeah,
imagine. Oh my God.
But I mean, usually January into February is definitely one of the slower months of the year for any brewery.
Oh, thank you, Barry. Thank you.
I think everybody after being healthy for January, they want to like carry it through to bathing suit season. Bathing suit season.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm against dry January. If I didn't make that abundantly clear on the social media front in January, because I know that's going to help. Cheers. No, all right. Sort of a different topic, right? A lot of the craft beer industry is very much a part of, and I know Steve is going to, the music scene here in Baltimore and in Maryland, right? But those musicians aren't free. So when you have them in the tap house, they're charging like $250, $300 to have a musician come out. Yeah, depending on the musician, right? Now, when you guys are down, like, do you start having to evaluate, like, hey, am I going to pay a musician, $250 to $500 to come out for a night? Which then in turn that impacts like our industry, then impacts their bottom line and what they're doing. So, do you guys have to start thinking about that when numbers start coming down?
We do all the time, and it's a constant evaluation of, is this taproom event going to cost us more than we would make if we didn't have it? And at this point, I have a very good idea of what's going to actually make money and what's not.
Like, will that musician bring in what I'm paying him?
Exactly. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be, are they bringing in people? Are they keeping them in the tap room? So
That's
I
true.
have started really vetting musicians like very hard. And you have to be somebody who's going to be a very competent musician, but you also need to be the kind of musician that's not going to turn it up when the manager turned his back, to the point. I understand everybody wants to be a rock star, but I mean, I was a professional musician for years. But you cannot blow out everybody in the tap room. They're not going to stick around.
Yeah, and especially if they're not coming out to see you, right? If they're coming out to see the musician, that's a different story. But to your point, there aren't that many musicians who are going to come and play in a place like yours or ours for a few $100 who are bringing people to follow them. It's more you're setting an ambiance, you're trying to get people to stay, or you're trying to get people to say, hey, this is a cool place, I'll come back next time because there's going to be another band, even if I don't know who it is. But, they're not getting a lot of people to say, oh, it's I got a jazz band that's here every Sunday, and they don't bring people in because of who they are. People come because they know there's a cool jazz band here. So.
Yeah. Now it's like I enjoy it, but like when I go in, I love to see live music. My wife is the exact opposite though. She will not go if there's live music because she likes to be able to talk to people and be social with them. Whereas in a lot of places, you get the music going and you're like screaming to try to talk to someone. She doesn't like that, so she won't go.
I
But
think we need some really big venues for your bands.
Yeah.
your check-ins are legendary.
What's
You're always checking into some great music.
I try.
But I mean, realistically though, our industry affects so many others. You know, it affects, tap houses, it affects restaurants, it affects breweries, it affects just people trying to, like beer tenders and people trying to make a living. So how do we help promote the industry, and how do we like survive the storm and start to, grow the industry again?
Do stuff like you're doing. Basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Get
just,
the word out.
grassroots upwards. You like talking about it. Brewers Association promoting it, especially, pushing the local beer thing, drink beer from here.
Make mine in Maryland.
Just, championing the great variability of the beer that's available in this state, and not just the types of beer, but the local ingredients that are used in state as well to make beer. It's an incredible industry. So people, just need to know about it, because it seems to be, as we've said, the younger generation are drinking less. I think education will be important, and as you say, getting people involved younger, those are all important things.
I think that's a really good point. And I'd say to your viewers, if you are out drinking beer and you're enjoying yourself, even if it's not even about the beer, if you're having a good time at a brewery or at a distillery or at a winery, I don't care where it is. If you're going out and you're having a good time, put that on your social media. Tell your friends about it. Bring them next time. That stuff makes such a big difference to all of us. And I mean, like, some of us are like, you've seen that stupid like sign that says the money you spend here helps us give our kid clarinet lessons. Literally, I need some saxophone lessons and drum lessons. So, if you could help me out, I really appreciate it.
And I personally think it's some small changes, right? So instead of going to Outback, maybe you go to Nepenthe because they've got some great food. So maybe you spend your dollars there. Or, I mean, there's so much great brewery food around the area. So maybe you start checking in like some of the great food at the breweries that you have. Like if you're a beer person, you know where you can get a great meal. And there's tons of spots around the state where you can get some awesome food in a tap house or a brewery. And so spend your dollars there instead of going to Chick-fil-A or going to McDonald's, because those dollars are much more appreciated by our local brewers and our tap houses than they are by these national chains.
I mean, I think the Brass Tap would say the same thing. And, you can look through the windows.
Well, I guess you guys are a chain, but I mean, your local franchise, though.
It's a chain, but it's not a chain. I mean, that's exactly right. We live here in the city. My kids go to school right up the road. This is our home. And yeah, we got some help getting open. We got some good management assistance and some direction, but this is my place.
Well, and you're promoting local too, though, like with your Maryland
Day.
Day.
Important thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a chain, if they are supporting the community.
Exactly.
That's the important thing.
Well, I mean, you can look through this window and see a number of Maryland breweries from right here.
I see Heavy Can. I see Nepenthe. I see Big Truck.
And I think it
Mine
would be the
is
same
ready.
if going back to the
Uptown.
grocery store thing. If the grocery stores support the local, it's not just big national brands. If they support local as well, not all local breweries, as we've discussed, will be able to get their beer on those shelves, but some will. And it's good for the local industry.
But I think your challenge on that is that so many of the grocery stores are national or very large regional chains. And so where they're going to look is who's the distributor or who's the brewer who can get me something in all of my locations.
Mhm.
Well, that's
That's going to be your
that
downside.
describes Brass Tap right there. Because they're opening one down in Pasadena.
Yep.
And I was looking the other day. You've got there's quite a few brass taps where you, as a, I guess, you bought into the idea. It's your business, but you bought into the brass tap idea, right? It's
Yep.
sort of, and they support you, but you have to make it on your own.
Well, and one of the reasons we went with Brass Tap when we first started looking at things, it's hard to believe, 12 years ago. Time goes very fast. One of the things that attracted me to it was the fact that their standard is out of your 60 taps, at least half of them should be local at any time. And we probably are a little bit on the high side on that. We probably generally run closer to 65 or 70% local.
Yeah, so very much
But
local.
we're also, our style of bar, we're just a neighborhood bar. And some of the brass taps are, different. And Pasadena might not be as much of a neighborhood bar given where they are, on Route 2, and there's going to be a lot more just general traffic going up and down there. But for us, it's all about neighborhood, and it's all about, we have Nepente on, or Nepent, as you said.
I don't know how to pronounce. What's the correct way to say it? Because I say Nepent. Is it
The only reason I
Nepente?
think it's Nepente
Oh, shit.
is because
I'm sorry.
the word is from the poem "The Raven," and it means to drink to forget. And when I've heard that poem read, I've heard it pronounced Nepente.
Okay.
Now I have to say I haven't ever asked Brian or Jill how they pronounce it. So then that's really they're the ones who should tell
I'm
us.
get taken to school
But-
live.
But they're right
It's
up
like
the road
calling
from
them
us, and we could look at them as competitors, but we don't look at them as competitors. Our role in the beer industry in Baltimore, the beer business in Baltimore, is to bring a variety of beers, local and international, but more focused on local, to people who maybe don't want to go out and hang out at a brewery. A tap room has a particular audience. And sometimes a tap room is where you want to take your family, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're more food focused or anything like that. But people can know they can come in here and they can get beers from Baltimore first and then all over the state.
I mean, I think that you touched on a really great topic there. We're not as competitive as it might seem on the outside. I mean, we talked earlier about losing Idiom, just last weekend. And one nice thing, like Idiom helped us get open. They helped us source tanks and stuff, and helped us get a really good price on the stainless steel portion of our build out. And I'll forever, have a soft spot in my heart for them. And I was so sad to see they were going. And I mean, the same thing with you guys, like that. You're never ever a competitor. I just met you a month and a half ago at Heavy Seas.
Probably, yeah. I mean, we've known each other on and off for many years.
Yeah, but this industry is great, and it's one nice thing that we're constantly working with one another, whether it's a beer collab or it's a let's get together at a beer festival. Not putting a giant plug in for Maryland Craft Beer Festival, but everybody should come out to that. It'd be really good time.
Yeah, that's soon.
I mean,
Oh,
that's,
get your tickets now.
that's the absolute beating heart of the craft beer industry in terms of breweries, is that they all support each other. I have been visiting Manor Hill for yeast for years and years. Everybody helps everybody out. If someone's got an idea, they'll share it. So
100%.
and that is the absolute beauty, and that's why I'm still in this industry after 32 years.
There's a lot of friendly competition, but at
Yeah,
the
I
end
mean-
of the day, we're all drinking each other's beer.
Yes,
We're enjoying each other's company too, because we all know a lot. We've got a lot of experiences that we can share.
100%.
It's good to be able to share them.
I have to tell this story. So the early part of the brew crew, it started with me and a bunch of buddies just bored in the wintertime. And we came together and everyone would bring over local beer. And we were just doing basic beer shares in my basement, right? So we were at Hershey Park for Hershey Park in the Dark years ago. And we were in line and we were just we were talking about beer, right? The guy in front of us who was sitting there with his family, he's like, "Oh, I own a brewery." And I was like, "Okay, really, what do you own?" He's like, "Oh, I own Idiom." And it was Mike. And so I was standing in line at Hershey Park behind Mike, and he just overheard us talking about beer. And like I didn't know Mike at that point, but then I was like, get the hell, like what is the chances that I'm behind him in line at Hershey Park? But yeah, that was funny. Mike's a great guy. I love Mike. I'm gonna miss him. Well, I guess he's not going anywhere. I'm not gonna miss him. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a challenge in the years ahead on, continuing to promote this industry. And like we just brought up the festival. I think the festival is huge. If we can get new people out to the festival every single year and they can see all the spots that they don't know about, like that's huge. And we've had some great weather the last couple of years too at the festival.
And it's interesting as well because obviously festivals have been, in a downturn, but the Frederick one last year was one of the best festivals I have attended in my career. It was beautifully executed. There were so many great breweries, excellent vibe, great crowds. So, I hope that goes from straight to straight.
And that supports Maryland brewing for the future. I mean, if they don't make money on these events like that, we're struggling even more than we're talking about right now.
I remember, so last year at the festival, I was talking to Hugh from Heavy Seas, and he was like, I think today kind of like renewed my faith in the craft brewing industry here in Maryland.
Yeah, I heard that a lot, and I felt that too. I mean, it was just, it's funny, when you work in a brewery and you're brewing all the time, it's not necessarily what you want to do at the weekend is go to a beer festival.
True.
Sometimes it's just you're just over.
I can't relate, but
It does matter when you do that, though.
Yes, and it absolutely does, and I always tried. But that one really, I was just, this is it. This is, this is so good. It just
reminds you why you're doing what
you
do.
Exactly. Yeah, it really does. Exactly. There's great interaction with all the crowds there, and people there were so appreciative of all the breweries there. That, it really makes it worthwhile. So yes, go out and support the craft beer festival.
How are the tickets out? Are they still are the super VIP still available, or did it sell out? Because I know last year it was like sold out within like a day or two.
So I know we added a few more this year than we had last year, but I am not sure. I know we like on the first day of ticket sales we sold over 200, which is very good.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I haven't checked recently.
Yeah, and if you're really interested in helping out, they got volunteer positions. You go in, you
get a free ticket,
get some classes, and you can go and party the afternoon, or vice versa. Or
exactly, yeah. If you want to volunteer, you get a free ticket. You could go in and get some great beer and just volunteer some time and help Bam out
and meet
the event.
people.
Anybody need a beer?
No, I think we're good.
Thanks, Jason.
No, I think we're great. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just the little things that we can do that are going to help promote the industry moving forward. And like I said, the festivals, just drink local. I mean, if you can, check in. Like my group, I try to run the group saying like positive vibes. Like I want to know about your good check-ins. If you drink a terrible beer, I'm not going to lie. Like every brewery I've ever been to is going to have a beer that just didn't sit well with me. But those are the ones like I'm not going to socials and being like, oh my God, their beer is shit. Like some people do that and it drives me nuts. They'll have a beer, which maybe isn't even their style. And then they'll be like, they make the most garbage beer. And you go on like Reddit and you see like the Maryland beer forums on there and people are constantly just like trashing breweries. And that drives me nuts. Like when I do my reviews and stuff, like there's some things that may not sit well with me, but I'm still like, I'll be like, hey, they hit the mark in terms of what they were aiming for with the style. And as a brewer, that's what you're trying to do, right? Like you're not brewing a beer that I'm going to like. You're brewing a beer that's going to match a certain style. And that's your...
Absolutely. I mean, as much as possible, you brew for yourself as a brewer, but you also brew things that you wouldn't. I brew beer that I don't want to drink, but I know other people will want to drink.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's been creeping into culture in general more recently that people do just want to see the bad in things sometimes. So, the more you can reinforce the good, in this context in Maryland, craft beer, the better. So,
yeah, keep it positive, folks. Just you never know like how much social influence you really have, because you check in somewhere and you talk about your horrible experience. Well, that's going to reach, if you got 200 friends, you just told 200 friends that a place is garbage, when maybe a server was having a bad day. Maybe they were having like a personal crisis that day and they didn't give you the best service. That doesn't mean that the establishment as a whole is a terrible one. So why do you need to go on and share that? I mean, share your positive experiences, share where people should go. That's my thing. That's why I'm just trying to keep it positive and positive vibes. So if I don't have the best experience, I just try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, hey, maybe they're having a bad day, you know? But now if you screw me over like 3 or 4 times, maybe I don't go back.
No, I agree with you with that 100%. And that is something that like kind of kills me about like something like Untapped, where somebody is beer we won gold for gives us 2.5 stars, best cream ale I've ever had. And I'm like, the best one you've ever had, it's 2.5 out of 5. Like,
Right.
Yeah, maybe cream ale is not your style, but that's all they're trying to do is to brew a really good cream ale. You didn't have to get it if that's not what you wanted.
As an aside, some years ago, back when Baltimore Beer Week used to be a thing, there was a great event at Waverley where they invited a bunch of brewers. There was probably a dozen of us to present the 3 worst Untapped reviews we'd ever received. And then the crowd there were
I love Mel.
were voted on who really got the worst one, and they were awarded a prize. It was quite incredible.
It was like the Razzies of beer.
Some of the comments were outstanding. I mean, and you have to just rise above that sort of thing. And again, don't be negative, be positive. But, that really opened my eyes as to.
It's interesting too that how Baltimore presented or has presented the closing of businesses, like the banner or saying,
oh my
or
gosh,
Sun. Just
don't
how
get me started.
They leave it so much open to interpretation to people who haven't even really been there. Like I never went to, I'm going to use Brewers Art as an example. I'm sorry, I never went to Brewers Art, but they screwed over everybody, their employees, or like they went out of business. They retired. They put their 30 years in. They did everything they could to keep it open. And then people who haven't even been there have to put in their 2 cents worth. I think there's a lot of that going on, especially with social media and the access to it.
Yeah, that is definitely the dark side of the social media explosion. Is
there was such a vilification of Volker, and
yeah,
I was like, it
judge,
was sickening.
And
it's quick to judge. Very quick to judge.
Without knowing the background, any of the facts, really. So,
and half the time they're posting anonymously or almost anonymously too. So that way you're not even accountable for what you say.
Yeah.
And how do you respond when somebody does that? So, or if you're, Volker up at Brewers Art, you see some of those things. There's nothing you can say that's going to change anything. All you can really do is just, they're hoping you'll respond. And all you can really do in that case is just, shut up and take it.
Yeah.
Because what was it, last summer? So, I mean, there was the vilification of Volker with Brewers Art, then Mike and Idiom. But then even if you go back, I think it was like last summer, it was Checker Spot. With what happened with Checker Spot. And that drove me nuts because, like Rob and Judy, I love Rob and Judy. And, oh my gosh, they were getting dragged through the mud on something that was just blown out of proportion and wasn't even true to like really who they are if you knew them. You know what I mean? It was like I felt so bad for them. And I don't know. It just drove me nuts because all these people come out of the woodwork whenever something negative comes out. And I don't know. I stay quiet and I just,
so much feeding on negativity right now.
And
it's current.
And the trouble with the media. Sorry to interrupt. The trouble with the media, and obviously I'm referring to the Brewers Art thing. They're just in their rush just to break the news. There's just no research, very little fact. They just wanted to break the news and they ran with whatever they got from a particular person. And it was all negative. So,
but we're their neighbors practically,
Yes.
you know, here. And certainly I've been drinking there longer than we've been open, or at least I had been drinking there longer than we've been open here. And I've said to a lot of people, there is no good way to do what they did. There is no way you can win when you have to close a place.
Yes.
You can, you know, and from one perspective, if you're a former employee now, then maybe the way they handle it is the absolute worst way. But there are other perspectives. There's just no good way to get there. And instead of coming out and saying, yes, you know, and even if you want to just break the news,
Mm-hmm.
and hit the news and then come back.
Yeah, then
You know, and
take
that's
a
one of the
step
great
back,
things about
get
doing
the-
it online, right? You're not writing a correction in a newspaper that somebody has to find. You can amend your article that you wrote 2 days ago and say, now we understand that, because I guarantee you, they tried everything they could to stay afloat. Everything they could. And when they finally realized that there was not one thing they could pull out of the hat, that's when he's like, well, I guess I'm done.
Yeah,
And they probably
exactly
had 10 times before that he thought he was done and managed to pull something out of the hat and made payroll. Kept the place open.
I can absolutely attest
And then
to
there's,
that.
yeah, and then there's nothing you can do. Well, you know, it is what it is. And we all need to understand that, you know, they put their selves, their families, their fortunes is the wrong word. It can be misinterpreted, but it is, you know, everything they've got on the line.
Mhm.
They're the ones who are hurting the worst. And, you know, certainly I feel terrible for the employees. We've raised some money here for them. But at the end of the day, there is just literally no good way to do it. And you do the best you can to stay afloat. And they paid a lot of people a lot of money over 30 years. And yes, some people, if they hadn't gotten covered by folks who helped to raise money for them, they would have been really hurt by the last 2 or 3 weeks. But 30 years is a long time to make payroll every 2 weeks.
Just think of all the concerts Steve wouldn't be able to go to. Well, all right. So we've had a great conversation here today, guys. Like, what are the takeaways? Like, what moving forward? What are we doing here? Drink local.
Drink local.
Yeah, I
That's,
think
that's it. That's
You
it.
love a local business, support your local business. It might not be there for much longer because it is tough out there. Not just a beer business, any small business.
Yeah.
Try and, you know, as much as you can. Everybody's got limited dollars to spend. Think about how you spend it. That's
Yeah, I mean, when you know, we were talking about Brewers Art, talking about Idiom, there are other places that have gone out of business. When you look at the people who commented on stories on Facebook, how many of them said, well, I haven't been there for a couple of years, but it's a great place.
Right.
Well, you know, I'm not blaming anybody, but that's part of what happens.
No, it's not easy.
You know,
There's, you know,
we all have to patronize
Yes.
each other.
Yeah.
We have to take care of the local folks. They're the ones who make it work.
Well, and as the Brewers Association member of Maryland member here, I have to say, like, that Make Mine a Maryland thing is a big deal. You know, you come down here to the Brass Tap, you buy a Maryland beer. You go to a tap room, you buy a Maryland beer. You go to a distillery, you buy a Maryland Spirit or a Maryland winery. You are literally helping your neighbors out. You're keeping that money here in Maryland. It makes a huge difference.
I love the Make Mine a Maryland campaign. So, like, I don't know if you noticed, I've been putting those hashtags usually on like most of my posts because I love that campaign. Now, I'm not the biggest AI fan, so I didn't love the commercial, but I can't live with it. It was cute, but I'm not a big
biggest
AI.
criticism I've heard. So.
I've watched Terminator too many times to be in love with AI. But yeah, keep it positive, folks. Seriously, and drink local, support your local, craft beer festivals, Brass Tap, all the Maryland beers they have on tap here. You know,
a lot of great breweries, a lot of great people making a lot of great beer out there. So
Yeah.
Give them a thumbs up. Go and see it.
we're spoiled. I mean, we are really spoiled here in Maryland. I have over 130 local breweries in our great state. I want to say, like, we're a beer destination.
Too, by the way.
Yeah, like
I think
great
Maryland's
beer.
got some of the best beer, some of the best brewers around.
Oh, they really
They're all
do.
like- they're all from the same team, original. They started out the same place.
Yeah. One of the hardest things for me is that every single day I have the breweries and tap houses reaching out, wanting to do events or wanting me to go out. And I'm a family guy. Like, I don't have that much time. And I want to help spread the word about all these cool events and everything that are going on. And I want to be at every little thing. And I feel like I'm heartbroken every time where I'm like, I'm sorry, I got to take my kid to volleyball. I can't make it out. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, my daughter, I got to take her to work tonight. But so anyway, sincerely, like, thanks for everyone that's watching. Continue to drink local, support our local Maryland craft beer community. You know, we need you.
Yeah,
2026 and beyond for sure.
And most importantly, cheers.
Yes.
Cheers. Bro.
Oh, well timed. I need another.
That's right. And thank you so much for having us out and having some amazing beer. Like, you rolled out the red carpet and put some amazing stuff on tap for today.
Well, I'd like to take credit for it, but Jess and Michael really delivered on making sure the beers that we had were taking a step up.
Yeah.
Both from the Maryland side, and we did a couple things that are a little outside of Maryland, but that 2018.
Oh my gosh, that was
a pretty special
so
beer.
good.
Yeah.
I need to get the 1050.
It's great for you to be able to have, to deal with the self distributors and be able to get the cool stuff in too.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that they deal with certain distributors and that like they stick to that and they don't try any of the, the small breweries.
What fun is that? I mean, at the end of the day, and I say that literally, what fun is it? The part of the whole thing is trying the different things and yeah, maybe you get something in that's not quite as good as you thought it was going to be. But if you don't try it, if you don't bring it in, and I can't remember who said that, sometimes the beers you brew are not beers that you would like. Yeah. I have a lot of beers on that are not beers that I would drink. I mean, I'll drink one just because I want to try it. But, you got to put your toe, you got to jump in. You can't just put your toe in the water. You got to jump in and try some stuff. Because there's a lot of great beer out there. So there's your tip.
I've got to give you props. So one thing I've got to give you props on. So last week when I was at Max's, I had a 2015 Resurrection.
I saw.
And that thing aged like fine wine.
Yeah,
that was
before
chef's
my
kiss.
time. That's
Oh my gosh.
props to Mr. Steve Frazier.
But
for that.
okay, you guys were I don't care. Brewers Art, whoever I'm giving props to, like that thing, like some of the age stuff doesn't age that well, but oh my gosh,
I bet a Belgian double really did hold up well.
Oh, it was sweet, like because we actually had the current Resurrection, which it was still delicious, but then like the aged one, like it became like sweet. It was like definitely took on like the tones were just like so much richer and deeper, and like it had like a sweeter note to it.
Yeah, it's a beer that ages really well.
It did it. Yeah.
So we're going to see like Seven Beauties and then Beasley, and are we going to see these beers again? Or are they?
That I could not speak of. I don't know.
Resurrection.
Obviously, I don't know if that's part of the bankruptcy. If someone's going to buy the brand and continue, I can't speak of that.
I keep telling people I know you and Rob Perry, so I know two people that have the recipes. So I'm like, I'm gonna be.
I mean, Rob and myself could brew Resurrection in our sleep because obviously we brewed it all the time. But yeah. I mean, I.
If Red Brick Station has a Easter ale tap,
that's like 10,000 barrels.
I like that.
I do hope. I mean, I really do hope somehow the beer continues to exist as the Brewers Art Resurrection. It would be a tragedy for craft brewing in Maryland if it goes away. I really do believe it.
100%.
Yeah. All right. Well, our hour has flown by. Thank you guys so much for coming by and hanging out. We're going to continue to hang out and have a beer and talk to some people that are hanging out with us. So thanks again, Billy from BAM. Thanks, man. Thanks for all BAM is doing. Barry, thanks for having us out here, dude.
Yeah, man. Glad to have
Steve and Steve, it has been a pleasure, gentlemen.
Hope to see you
Thanks
again.
for coming out. And everybody, stay safe. We've got a blizzard on the way. So.
or an inch or two of snow.
Or a bust. Yeah, who knows? But all right. Well, cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers.
That was a lot of fun.
Cool. I'm glad. Well, because now I'll get to like.